Hello and welcome to another Palladium accounting tutorial video. In this video we'll be taking a look at the Free-Hand Quotes feature on Palladium. A common question that we do get from existing and prospective clients is what is the difference between your regular sales quotes and Free-Hand Quotes? At a fundamental level, in terms of the outcome of using both features, it's the same. At the end of the day, we're generating a sales quote. But once you get a little bit deeper and compare the functionality of the two features, there's quite a big difference, and that's going to be the main focus of this video. So firstly, let's take a look at the ability of being able to generate sales quotes on the fly. So if we look at your regular sales quote feature, if we want to put a quotation together, you first have to select the customer. So this is fine if the customer we're quoting is an existing client and already exists on our system. However, if it's for a prospective client who doesn't exist on the system, that means in order to give them a quote, we first have to create them as a new customer and get a few details off them, which isn't always ideal if you just want to quickly give the prospective client a quote so they can get on with their day, and then they can come back to us if they'd like the sales quote to be converted to an order or an invoice. And then at that stage, we can get the required details. But at this stage, you just want to give them a quote effectively and as quickly as possible, really. So if we now go into the Free-Hand Quote, yes, we still have the ability to quote on existing clients already in the system, but we have the further option of just being able to type in key information here of a prospective client. Say this prospect just walks into your store, phones your office and just wants a quick quotation. You don't want to take up too much of their time and create them as a new customer. I mean, at this stage, you just want the key information. So let's say someone called David just walks into our store. We want his name, telephone number perhaps, email address, and then select the items that he wants quoting on, and record. So if David or whichever prospect you're quoting on now comes back to us and asks us to convert this quote to an order or a sales invoice, so to do this you'd go back into the Free-Hand Quotes and we'd find the one that we created, so it'd be this last one here for David. So he's come back to us and said, please convert this to an order. So here, where it says transfer AR, which stands for transfer accounts receivable, you simply select on here, and then you select the document you want to transfer it to. So let's go straight to an invoice. And now at this stage, we'd need to create David on the system. So we'd give him an account number, whatever it may be. Then you put in his full name. Fill in all this information if you need to. It requires that we link into a category, so we'll just do that quickly. And now he appears on the system. So now we can select on him, and then this message will pop up. This function will transfer your quotation to a sales invoice. Once it's been recorded, this document will no longer exist in Free-Hand Quotes. Converting to a purchase document will not be possible once this transfer has been complete. That's touching upon another functionality on Free-Hand Quotes that we'll cover. Would you like to continue? Yes, we would. And there you go, it's automatically generated the sales invoice. So another key difference between these two icons, the sales quote and the Free-Hand Quotes, is in the Free-Hand Quotes you have the capability of transferring a quote to any purchase document, whether it be in a purchase quote, purchase order, or a purchase invoice. So if I come into here, so this is particularly useful in case that you don't want to bring stock in until a client of yours has requested it and convert it to an order, an invoice, or whatever it may be. So just to show you this works, if I select a customer, I'm going to go David Carey and I'll select an item. And if you just notice this column over here, vendor, which you won't see on other sales documents, it's automatically brought through a vendor, and this is the preferred vendor it's brought across, which was already previously set up with this item. So if you don't want to go with this vendor, you do have the option, the flexibility to change this on the fly just by selecting new and selecting the new vendor. You can put in their unique item code, price, etc. Just for example, I'm just going to stick to the preferred vendor that it defaulted to, and we can quote our client 150. So I'll just show you how it works. So here we've got the quote linked up, it's selected to our vendor here. So I'm just going to record the sales quote and we can provide it to our client. But if a client comes back to us and say, please convert this to an order, what we can do first is we can have this button here that says convert AP, which means convert accounts payable. So we can transfer this to any purchase document on the fly linked to this vendor. So let's go straight to purchase invoice, and it's brought it up here. It's selected our default supplier and the items that we quoted on. So we can put in the inputted price and record. So now brought the items into stock. So if we close this, we've gone back to our set freehand quote, and we can now transfer AR, transfer to accounts receivable, so we can provide an invoice to our client for the same item. It brings up this message that we discussed before. Select yes. We can now record it. So another useful functionality on the freehand quotes is the ability to quote on items that you don't stock. Similar to a buyout item, pretty much the same thing. So if I just show you how that works, so if I select a customer, David, if I select here, the items that it presents here are all items that exist on the system. So these are items that we do stock. So let's say the client wants a quotation on this dispenser base, but they also want a quote on an item that we don't stock. Let's say it's something like milk. So because we don't want to jeopardize the deal and we want to fulfill the potential order, we're just going to add this to our quote even though we don't stock it on the system. So now I can record it and we can provide this to the client. So now if they come back to us and say, please can you transfer this to an order or generate a sales invoice for me, we can come back into the quotation, we can use this functionality again, and we can transfer it to a sales invoice. And at this stage it brings up the message, inventory item number, milk doesn't exist. So select yes to create an item number, or select no to use an existing item number. Well, we're going to select yes, and now it brings up this page to create it as an item. So it's automatically brought through the item code number that we put on the sales document, and we have a description here. And it asks us to link it to a category. So if we plan or intend in stocking this item going forward, the item type you probably select would be item. But if it's just a once-off, we'd make it a buyout item. So we don't stock this item. It's for this once-off deal, just so we can fulfill this order. And then we select OK. And then it brings up this message. This function will transfer your quotation to a sales invoice. We did cover this one before. Would you like to continue? Yes. And now it's gone into a sales invoice. So what this allowed us to do is we didn't have to turn the customer away just because we didn't stock milk to jeopardize the deal. It allowed us to fulfill this order. And that concludes this video tutorial on freehand quotes. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions about the freehand quote functionality, do feel free to contact us on the details provided on screen now. Alternatively, you can simply comment on this video and ask your questions there. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.